ready for ham radio time? Let's go, pal.
Salutations, my fellow lovers. It is Maddie here with week 22 of the Ham Radio podcast. I am the lover of story-driven hentai, and I finally have my two lovely co-hosts with me this week.
What is going on? It is me, the King of Kangaroos, the Lone Vault Wanderer.
My name's Noah. My ARC recently got fitted for hydraulics. However, I'm still waiting on the garage to hear back from them.
And this week, we have a super, super special guest. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Brian T. Delaney.
Oh, yeah.
That voice is so buttery.
Now, for those who may not know,
That was
Brian,
pretentious.
who are you, Brian? For those who may not know.
Who am
Somehow.
I? That's a question for the ages. Who am I?
I love this guy.
I
Right?
am, you mean the reason why I'm talking to you guys?
Yes.
I am the voice of the player male for Fallout 4.
That is awesome.
It would have been better if you said like female and added really like an amazing twist to that. Really. Yeah.
I'm also
the female voice.
Trust me.
My God, there's
Courtney
some
Taylor.
girls-
Courtney Taylor is the quintessential choice for the female protagonist. She is awesome, sweet, sexy, badass, motherly, daughterly,
Yes.
fucking
Yes. Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
girl.
Excellent.
All right.
All right.
A. That was a little plug for my co-lead.
Oh,
Do
and
you
this,
don't have anything to say before we dive into these questions, by the way? Like any side questions?
No.
Like,
first of
what's
all, we'd
up?
like to say follow Brian on Twitter. Please do
right.
that.
Wow, I
Because-
feel like a dick now.
No, I'm gonna say it, guys. Please support him. We're gonna be playing with him and his voice for hundreds of hours if you pick the male character. So please go follow me on Twitter. The links will be below and on the screen. Do it right now.
Yeah, do it right now. The challenge is to at least double his follower count. Anything more than that is absolutely wonderful, and you should probably surpass that. I think this podcast gets enough hits to do so,
Oh,
especially this one.
No excuses.
I know.
guys.
It's,
Come on.
yeah, it's already, it's an interview with someone from Fallout 4. Yeah, it's like,
We're going to be listening to you for now, either you or Courtney, for hundreds of hours of playing this game. And you think I'm joking when I mean hundreds.
Wow.
There are people.
no,
down
yeah,
there.
we're not kidding.
That's humbling. That's very
You're
humbling.
what we hear.
I love
So
it.
yeah, it's kind of interesting to hear the voice before playing with the voice.
Yeah. I'll hear it and I'll be like, I know that guy.
Yeah, exactly. I talk with him sometimes.
Yeah.
Look, I just realized now I'm not going to be able to play properly. Every time I hear the voice, I'll be like, holy shit, I did an interview with that guy. How? No, this is not going to work.
He has a MacBook Air. I
Yeah, we
remember that.
can end this right now. I don't want to ruin the game for you.
Bro, no, don't do that to me, bro.
Shut up. Stop speaking.
Excellent.
All right. Well, we'll go through your list of questions first.
No
You know,
worries.
why not? No, we'll interject.
We'll do
his
mine
questions.
last.
Yeah, you can just interject your ridiculous questions whenever.
Like
no.
I usually do, yeah.
Where are
Yeah.
you from, Lone?
I'm from Australia. I'm not going to say particularly
what
where I
city?
am, but along the East Coast.
He's
East
from
Coast
Ohio.
City. He's from Ohio. The East Coast of Ohio. No, what city? What city in Australia?
I'm not going to say because then these followers are going to track me down.
I'm sorry. That's right.
That's
You're
all
from
good.
Oceania.
Lone, what's your credit-
Oceania, yes.
What's your credit card number, Lone?
Hold on, let me get that out right
Social
now.
security number.
I'm
real quick.
asking for a friend.
So wait a minute. Lone isn't even your real name.
Nope.
Right.
Oh wow. I
We
thought
know
that-
his name, but we're not going to say it. But
Okay.
It's-
Lone. I like that.
I kind of started that way, just, masking who I was, but it's become this thing now. Like, people just
Yeah.
know me as Lone.
You're the Banksy of podcasting. is that right?
Exactly. He's so ominous. The Banksy of podcast. Yes.
I love it.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, so I've got a list of questions here that I wrote before I boarded a plane. So if they're crappy or anything, I do apologize. But I thought I'd ask the hard-hitting questions. Not really. So the first question that I think we'd all like to know is, we can check your IMDb page for this, but we want your opinion on it. What was your first voice acting gig, and how exactly were you booked onto it?
My first voice acting gig in LA was the voice match of Seth Rogen for Master Mantis in the Kung Fu Panda video game.
Nice.
And no.
I
wasn't,
played that game. It was a pretty awesome game.
It's actually a story I was just telling some other folks just a couple weeks ago. I didn't do very well in it. What's funny is I was so nervous. It was my first job, and I don't know how I booked it because I can only do two things Seth Rogen can do, and it's okay, sorry, and that's it. Like, it's one of those things where, like how people can do. I was just saying this, like I said, just a couple weeks ago. Like, everybody has their own version of Walken because everybody can do like a couple of syllables of Christopher Walken.
Okay.
Well, I can only do those two things really well with Seth Rogen. So, but I booked the job somehow because they thought the rest of it sounded okay. And I get into the booth, my first job, I'm already nervous and I'm trying to do all these lines. And luckily it was only like 15 or 20 lines. But I'm sweating. It's like I can tell they don't necessarily like what I'm giving them, or at least I perceive that. Yeah. And it was kind of a nightmare because I can hear myself because my throat's seizing up. I'm like, oh God, I don't sound like him that much. So I went home and I was like all depressed. My wife had to talk me down off the ledge and don't.
Oh Jesus!
And yeah, it was awful. It was terrible. But it happened. It's over with, and onward and upward. But that was my first job in LA. My first voiceover job in history for me was like back in 1998 in Philadelphia, and I did like a local, like Comcast cable radio commercial or something where I had to do
Comcast.
Awesome.
This is before Comcast was everybody's Comcast.
Was Comcast, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's generally, those are my first two gigs.
Okay.
First in Philly and first in Los Angeles.
So for matter perspective, your first gig is 15 to 20 lines in a Kung Fu Panda character video game.
Like
you now recorded 13,000 lines for the most anticipated game ever, I'm saying.
One of the most.
The most. The most. Okay.
No question.
GTA 5.
So my question, I'm just tossing this one in as we go along, is like, how does that feel? Like, you like literally like started from the bottom, now we here kind of thing here.
Look at me now. Yeah.
What's up, suckers? I'm on top of the world. No, I'm actually. What do you mean? How do I feel? How do I feel about what?
I mean, like it's just such a. I don't know. It's like a difference. Yeah, it's a big jump. Obviously you're very successful with what you do now. That's awesome. I was just wondering how you're personally just feeling about all that, where, you started in a Kung Fu Panda movie video game. And I don't know if you know, but like sometimes movie games get a bad rap way before they even come out. It just gets announced and people are already kind of like, and now like you're basically a lead in a really, really, really big video game. Like, I was just wondering.
What? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say I think more so what Matt's trying to ask is like, what was the feeling when you got like when Bethesda gave you the job? Like when you were, yeah.
Well, here's the thing, to put it, to give it a proper frame, I guess I'd have to say, I've done like, I had done 10 or 15 other video games, but like, Malicious Soldier number 2,
yeah,
Soldier number 5, Henchman number 1, that kind of stuff. For a while, and it's weird. When my agent called me one day and says, "Listen, hey, I'm about to send you some copy. It's a callback player character for whatever the code name was for the game then. Do good. Call me when you're done. Blah." So I do the callback, going, "Holy crap! Like a player character. That's cool." I didn't even know what the project was. Which is hilarious because on the first audition I did, the first line of the audition was "War never changes." Okay. So, it kind of exposes my knowledge of the Fallout universe prior to me auditioning for it. But I did the callback and I'm like, okay, this is exciting. I've never gotten this far into a booking a player role, and I freaking get the call that I booked it, and I'm like, holy shit. And after that, a couple days after I booked it, it was my first day of work. And I actually looked it up several months ago, and I've been saying this over and over again, but July 9th, 2013 was the day I said, war never changes. And it was
really good.
it was crazy. It was honestly, it kind of dawned on me gradually over about a year or two with my voice directors and a couple of engineers going, "Hey man, this is friggin' big, you know, holy shit, man. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand what that means. Like, this is how big? Like, what do you mean big? Well, actually one voice director named Phil, he's awesome. He says, your life's going to change when this comes out.
Wow.
This shit comes out. And I'm like, I don't even understand. What do you mean? And it's right now. I'm living it. I'm talking to you fellas. I mean, I'm talking to an Australian dude that my wife thought was cute sounding. Like, how does that, you know, so how does that happen? And it's kind of like dawning on me. And I'm kind of in that honeymoon euphoric stage of like, wow, this is so exciting. It's just having this much exposure, having this length of time to work on this role in this franchise with so many great fans. And I'm a performer, okay? We're all performers. Any voice actor is an actor. And, you know, we start out either doing theater in high school or grade school or college and doing all this stuff. And, you know, all of us just hunger for an audience just to have that kind of, that feedback. And this is going to be like the astronomically huge version of that because most of the time we're behind a mic and my audience is an awesome engineer, my gifted voice director, and maybe a client on the phone, and that's it. And now this game is going to afford, you know, everybody in the game really, all the NPC voices and me and Courtney and stuff. It's just really exciting to be a part of a play that's like 50 or 100 or 200 hours long. Yeah. And the audience, you know, we'll get that visceral response, you know what I mean? Thanks to Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to try and give you the context, like from really hardcore Fallout fans, this is a game that, as you know, traditionally never had a voice player character at all.
I found that out, yeah.
And, you know, it's in the main Fallout 1 and 2, for example, you had sometimes some of the NPCs would talk, but other than that, it was relatively quiet. And then with Fallout 3 in New Vegas, mostly every single NPC other than the main player character would speak. So the fact that both you and Courtney are the first voice player characters, that is a huge, huge deal. It's something that a lot of fans were initially uncomfortable with, but I think once they've actually heard both of your voices, I think it's becoming more of I'm accepting of this now, or I'm actually very excited of this now. So
that was me. I'll admit, I wasn't a huge fan of like the voice acting protagonist at first, but then like I heard your guys' voices and I was like, you know what? They fit really well. They seem to work well together. Like during that pre-war segment at E3, I really saw it and I was like, okay, I like this. I came around to it. I was a fan of it now. Yeah. Or I am a fan of it, rather.
Okay, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, it's okay. And to bring this down to the ground a little bit, not only like Matt, you had said you were a little wary on it. I think as soon as some of the details came out, like hearing that there were, you know, 13,000 lines of dialogue done by, you know, both you and Courtney, I mean, that kind of put it into perspective that this is, you know, it's the Fallout we know and love, but now we get to hear it too. Yeah. You know, and you know, it doesn't mean there's any less content. It doesn't mean that it's, you know, shortcut in any way. It's still the awesome Fallout in a new setting with new things, but again, we get to hear it, you know, and it's
may I speak to that actually?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is something that impacted me as we were going through the process of all these lines and stuff like that. And I believe this. I've said this in an interview, the only other interview I've done. So I think it's fair game. When game trailers, Brandon Jones, awesome dude.
Like how Lone knew.
What's that?
I said I like how Lone knew.
I follow game trailers. What do you want me to say?
All right. I mean, are you supposed to plug other shows on your show though, Lone?
What are you doing, man? You're ruining us.
But what I told Brandon on Game Trailers Live was which was awesome experience. What I was telling those guys, especially the guys on the couch, was people noticed that there were, of the 4 dialogue options, they were suggestions. You didn't know what the whole line would be that would come out of the mouth of whichever player you chose. Yeah. And there was some concern there of you know, I'm worried about how much control I'm going to have over, if I don't know what I'm going to say, how do I know it's going to be, you know, negative effect on karma, or even if I don't even know, I'm not even sure if karma is in the game. I'm speaking above my pay grade, but you know, what I found interesting was because there's a voiced protagonist, some of the things you say, and these are lines that I think I can bring this up, they're nuanced lines. Every line is nuanced. Even the ones, honestly, even the nihilistic, brutal kind of line, it's always grounded in the overarching super objective, which I can't reveal, but you'll understand when you play the game. It's nothing is flying off the handle, or nothing is completely untethered to the heart of the character. So you may have to say something to someone, and it's the truth. They got to go do it. You got to go do it with them, whatever. Sometimes you got to say something to them, and it's a lie. But you're either saying it as a lie for a malicious intent or a conflicted intent. Sometimes you say it's a lie, and it's for a good reason. You need to lie to them because you need them to do something, and they can't know the real truth. It's kind of that kind of nuance you can't necessarily get when you have the dialogue box open up and there's 3 or 4 choices of the line, and you can just say it in your head. You actually, they've really thought about this. They've really taken their time. They've handled this with such care that I'm actually humbled by the fact that I'm a part of this process. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, they didn't take it lightly. It's pretty amazing to me. It's the nuance of it. I think is gonna strike a lot of the Fallout fans out there.
Awesome. No, that sounds amazing. Actually, seriously, that's kind of like wow.
And this is a comparison that I draw all the time, and people are probably sick of it. But coming from a game like, for example, Bioshock 1 and 2, where the main protagonist didn't speak, and then you go to Bioshock Infinite with Booker DeWitt, the main protagonist actually spoke.
Yeah,
it allowed me personally to develop a better connection with the main character, because I could actually empathize with him on a different level because I heard his voice. But when you're just playing as a main character that doesn't have a voice dialogue or anything like that, I find it harder to build that connection. And then when we're making comparisons between those two games, for example, I actually think Bioshock Infinite told the better narrative, and I think having a voice player protagonist help that infinitesimally, because I could actually build that connection. So what I'm hoping with Fallout 4 is that by being playing with a voice protagonist, I think it's going to help tell a better story. And you're talking about the nuance, which actually is facilitated by having a voiced character. I think all of that is going to add to a much better story. And typically, in my opinion, Fallout stories have been a bit not bad, but just they could have been a bit more fleshed out. Like in my opinion, like I love Fallout 3. It's my most treasured game of all time. But I thought that the story compared to, like, for example, Last of Us or Bioshock Infinite or something, I thought it could be much better. You know what I mean?
I mean, The Last of Us has become the new gold standard for narrative, like linear narrative storytelling, character, and all that stuff. And it's, I think that a lot of games are going to obviously, follow suit. I know. I can tell you that Fallout people have. So I mean, it's really interesting, especially for an open world role playing game where player choice. Because here's the thing, it's got that level of intensity character wise. Fallout 4 does, I believe, but you have that choice where you're playing. Whereas when you play like basically an interactive movie of that caliber, that is awesome. But having player freedom and player choice, which is what Todd Howard was emphasizing during the gameplay demo at Bethesda's E3 presentation. I think that's I'm eager to play the game just to see what the heck they put together, because it's pretty awesome.
All right, well, I'll go with the next question. Like, one of these podcasts one day is going to go for like 5 hours, I swear. Anyways,
do we have to hurry it up or anything? Or
no, we don't.
I literally.
We should probably ask you that question. Do we need to?
I was about to say you're the voice actor here. Yeah.
Shit. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go. I'm sorry.
All right, guys.
Okay.
See you later.
My fools there alone. Just kidding.
It's all right. I can go ride my kangaroo to work now. All right. So.
Kangaroo thing. I love that.
So the second question that I have here is, how did you actually settle on the voice that you use for the male protagonist from Fallout 4? And to be more specific, did you draw inspiration from anything or anyone in terms of how you actually got to that particular voice that you used?
Honest to God, I used the voice you're hearing now.
Okay.
It just sounds. They played all the badass Bruce Willis and Die Hard lines, so I sound like "Let's go, pal." But like it's, that's how I would say it. I mean, imagine you're talking to me and I'm in my home studio in Los Angeles, and my wife. I could see my kids playing out the window. It's all nice. It's all nice and grand. But like, it sounds like I'm trying to be badass, and I really wasn't. It was just that's. Being on the road, having the circumstances and the situation and the weariness and all this other stuff. I mean, that's how I just played it as if, okay, in this retro futuristic alternative future 1950s aesthetic, the bomb blew up thing. This is how I would say this line if this how many people dead, that kind of thing.
Perfect.
So it's like, it's really my own voice, and you might hear a little bit of what you're hearing now on your show, on your podcast. I mean, there are moments of levity, believe it or not. There are moments where I get to be a smart ass or a little snarky here, or just fun loving or whatever. It's rare, but it's there. So, but yeah, it's mostly my own voice. And if honestly, of all the roles I've ever played, even though these are, crazy circumstances of like the highest order and catastrophic things have happened, this is with 13,000 lines, I've never been able to just play myself kind of thing. Although I don't know if I can handle what the player character handles. But yeah, it's my own voice, and it's what I brought to the table. And my voice director, Kal-El Bogdanov, really he really knew how to draw certain things out based on what he heard in the first couple of sessions. And he kind of like emphasized those things. For instance, I'm from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
And he actually developed this little direction that became like a shorthand. He goes, "Hey, Bri, take some of the Philly off." Or he'd say, "Hey, Bri, at the end of this line, you can put a little Philly back on that one." And it was, because some of the accent, I can't believe I booked a player character just because, wow, I mean, I know I've eliminated a lot of it sometimes, like a lot of my regionalism. But, I can't believe I would book a player character because usually player characters are standard American, all-American kind of voice with no discernible urban accent. But I think this is what they wanted. And as I've said before, I don't think it's a coincidence that Bethesda is headquartered 2.5 or 2 hours south of where I was raised. And Todd Howard, coincidentally, is from southeastern Pennsylvania, which is where I'm from. So I don't know if that had it. I don't know if that.
Did you guys go to high school together?
No. He was a couple counties away.
Wow.
But it's still close enough to be like, holy crap, I moved to Los Angeles to be working for a guy who's, 30 minutes north on I-95. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my voice. Sometimes you'll hear my accent. It's my natural accent. So it's kind of cool.
Cool.
That is actually awesome.
By the way, are these answers short enough? I tend to be wordy.
Short enough? No, beautiful.
Yeah,
you keep
go
doing
on
what
and
you're doing.
stand if you'd like.
Yeah.
If you can
Ramble. We don't
I
care.
can ramble? No, you don't want me rambling, pal. I'm a verbose guy.
He called me proud.
It is a fanboy. It's so hard. I love it.
Just call me pal. That's amazing. We actually have a shirt real quick before. Oh, speaking of shirts, go on the fucking, not you specifically, but go to fans. I mean, if you want to, go ahead. But the fans, go on our the Spreadshirt website. We have a new design up, and it is the Let's Go Pal shirt that features Matt petting myself as a dog. And it's called the Pal shirt. So
yeah, like
out.
that Let's Go
Sounds really
Pal,
cool.
Brian, it's become like this crazy meme, mate. People have been doing fan art about it, different memes about it. It's become so popular amongst Fallout fans. And I guess this is a follow-on question from that. Did you think of the Let's Go Pal, or was that given to you as direction?
No, that was written.
Okay.
And I just delivered it. I delivered it the way I delivered it. I didn't like improv that line or anything.
Because it seems so
I found
intentional, like that trailer was a lot about building this connection between the player and the dog, because we all love dog meat from Fallout games. Yeah, exactly.
I love dog meat.
Okay, here's another question. Did you play Fallout 3?
I didn't play Fallout 3. I never played Fallout 3 until, when was it? I want to say like a year and a half. a year and a half into the job, we got done all of the original Quest material, meaning all of the material that they needed, before we went into like,
side stuff.
Not even side stuff, just like, I call it spackling, but it's the lines were like, they beta tested it and they want to rewrite the line, or it didn't really quite fit with this delivery, try that delivery, that kind of thing. After all of the original stuff, the first, like all of the meat, my voice director gave me his old Xbox 360 he wasn't using. And he says, hey, take this system home. I'm like, oh, wow, man, thanks. Go to your local whatever and buy Fallout 3. You got to play it now. I go, do you think I should have played it from the beginning? Like, before in the beginning of the job? And he goes, no. It's better that you did not play the game, play any Fallout games before this, because I think you came in fresh. And I think that was good. But right now, you've been asking a lot of questions about user interface stuff. And to give you an idea of what Fallout 3 was and then what we've been doing, I think you'll be able to put the pieces together. So I went to my local GameStop and I bought a $5.99 Fallout 3, with all 5 DLCs.
Yes. Cheapest there. It's great.
Whatever, Game of the Year edition or whatever. Yeah. And I started playing it, and I'm playing it in my room late at night. We have 3 kids, so it's not like I can play all day or anything, but I was playing for like an hour. My wife came in, and I tell her what it is, and she goes, oh, cool. She starts watching me, and a fucking Mirelurk comes out of nowhere, and I actually jump. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, what the hell was that? I've been saying Mirelurk. I've said the word, but like, I didn't know it friggin' looked like that. And, my voice director just said, just imagine the scariest ass thing. And just, I had a picture of something in my head, probably looked like something like, I don't know, grizzly bear with horns coming out of its ass. I don't know, whatever. But a Mirelurk, it scared the shit out of me when it came out of the water. I go down to the water just to see something. And I didn't know they swam around. By the way, what they look like swimming around in Fallout 3 gave me the willies. It was creepy as hell watching those damn things swim. But I only got to play it had to be only 1% into the game. I joked online. I think I joked on Twitter that I've only gotten up to like chapter 2 of Moira's book, not very far. I actually, here's a story. I played the game and I was just curious. I was feeling very kind of, I was playing, I didn't understand what role-playing game was until I'm playing the game, and the shady asshole in the bar or whatever gives me the job to blow up Megaton.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I go to the penthouse, and there's this old asshole on the top floor. Hey,
Yep.
glad you're with us. And I'm like, and I blow up Megaton, and I swear to God, I was sweating.
Shit.
I blew up Megaton. I couldn't sleep that night. Like, I blew up people I've met that gave me food. I blew up Moira. By the way, I didn't get far enough to know that she just became a ghoul. I didn't even know.
Oh my God.
I thought I killed everybody I met in the first place I ever went. And I was just like, I know it's a video game. I feel insane, but I feel like guilty about it. I restarted the fucking game.
Oh my God.
What I love is
I couldn't do it. I restarted the game, and I had to go back. And here's what's so screwed up. I didn't know Lucas was going to die if I decide not to blow up Megaton. The shady guy shot Lucas, the sheriff, and I'm like, I liked him, but I got all his clothes, so it was a
that makes it better. I can picture Brian though on the top of 10 penny power. Oh, what's the I don't know. Brian wants me to press the button. Yes. All right, presses the button. Like, it's just,
and it affected me, and I'm like, this is what's so funny. I now know what role playing is. Like, I was playing as like, what would Brian do if I was in this situation? Well, I did the opposite of what Brian would do, and it messed with my conscience. And it was just like, and what's funny is I talked to, there's this guy named Jake Gaskill, and by the way, that's a cool ass last name, don't you think? Jake Gaskill.
Yeah.
Well, he was running the session. He kept all the notes in order with the voice director, choosing takes and stuff like that. And I told him that story, and he says, I blew up Megaton. I go, why? And he goes, well, the role that I chose to play was the guy that would make all those difficult decisions and just move on. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, that's deep. That's like, no, in all seriousness, that was like kind of cool. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, now I'm getting it. And now I'm kind of understanding you can play different, like, you can play as you can play as the alternate Bizarro you can play as, somebody completely different. I know people online have already decided to play the female protagonist as Charlize Theron's character in Mad Max Fury Road. You know what I mean? Like
awesome.
it's cool, man, right? Isn't it cool?
That's
So-
sweet.
So I get it. So
I remember
get it.
that we're talking about like your first time playing the game and whatnot. I remember when it was first revealed that you were the male protagonist in Fallout 4. People found your Twitter and they started like tagging me in, and they're like, "Hey, here's the male protagonist." I'm like, "All right, awesome." You know, I started looking at your stuff. And I remember someone tagging me in a really old tweet of yours, because that's the thing. I'm sure you've noticed by now, Brian. People will go to old pictures and like them, or they'll go to old tweets and like them. They just do that. They cyber creep you really hard.
Yes.
And someone did that to you and tagged me in like a year-old tweet from you, and it was like, I think it was something like, I wish my wife would understand that playing Fallout is a part of the job. And like at this point,
No, I didn't say Fallout. I said, I wish my wife would understand. I think I'm paraphrasing, but I wish my wife would understand that blowing away feral ghouls is occupational research.
Oh,
That's what it was.
Awesome.
Okay.
If we had found
And
that
that's what
a
I'm
year
saying.
ago,
Okay, here's the thing, Brian, is that a year ago, we were going ballistic. Like, everyone was pissed that this game was not being talked about or anything. Like, everyone wanted to know what was going on. Any slight clue at this game's existence was blown up out of proportion. I'm telling you now, if someone found what you said, oh my God.
Holy
Well, here's the
shit.
thing.
no idea. A
Here's-
website would have been made about it. Everything.
Here's the thing. Nobody knew because I only joined social media in November of 2014.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the only reason I joined it was people at work kept saying, "You're not on Twitter? Really? Okay. you probably should be. You probably should be." And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. On a completely separate job, a voice director I did for an animation project. This is coincidental. Not soon after that conversation with my guys from the Fallout 4 job, another voice director tried to thank me and other cast members from this animation project. We did this direct-to-video animated feature thing for Warner Brothers, and he tagged everybody, including Brian T. Delaney. And I wasn't on Twitter, so some other Brian T. Delaney was thanked, and I'm like, shit. Now, if this is gonna happen, I should probably get on there.
Yeah.
So that was the last straw. So I've only been on social media for about 8 months now, or whatever it is, 9 months. So I only had 28 followers when I said about the feral ghouls.
Oh man.
So that's why nobody knew. Nobody knew who the
It
hell
was
I
mainly
was.
just for like the work people that followed you. They got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got actually. Yeah, when I tweeted it, another voice actor, actually an excellent voice actor, Josh Keaton, he actually tweets back something like, "Oh, is that true, Smooth Skin?" And he kind of
Oh my God.
tweeted me back the similar kind of veiled reference. And it was kind of cool. It was kind of neat. But yeah, all Fallout fans never heard of me before Todd Howard said the words. So
I was gonna say now they do.
Oh my God. If that was uncovered, shit. I'm just trying to think of the ramifications.
77 YouTube videos would have been made between both Matt and Lone's channels. All right. But,
Oh, I love it. All right, so now that we're on the topic of talking about video games, what is your favorite, or if you have a favorite, video game series of all time?
Well, I have to preface this question with, again, I'm a husband and a father, so
Yep.
it's not like in the last several years I haven't really been able to. Fallout 3 has been the first new game that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, years and years and years.
Good
But-
answer, Brian. Good answer.
No, I'm not. It's not even a lie. It's true.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, going back the last 20 years, my favorite thing in the world is to play a rebel in a snowspeeder on the planet of Hoth, ejecting my cable into the legs of an AT-AT, and then taking that motherfucker down.
I
So
love it.
every time there's a new Star Wars Battlefront, which I'm really excited about.
no, here we go.
Yeah, he's
So,
on my
it
territory
goes all
now.
the way
Let's
back
go.
to whatever year the game came out. It was the first Star Wars Battlefront before Star Wars Battlefront 2 2003. The first Star Wars Battlefront I played, it blew my mind. It was awesome.
Same. Yep.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 took it to the next level.
Yep.
It was just like, holy crap. I mean, I could dock. I can get into a TIE fighter. I liked playing as the Empire, except on Hoth. So I could get into a TIE fighter, go into, the Rebels command ship, dock myself in their hangar, and then start killing them. That was like awesome.
Yeah.
You've
And
just
that's a
become
12-year-old
Maddie's
reference,
favorite
but you get
person
it.
in the world, Brian.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Say that again?
You've become Maddie's favorite person in the world. We have this
Is that
running
right?
gag.
Seriously,
That is a huge Battlefront.
I cover 2 games mainly on my channel, and that's Fallout 4 and Battlefront. Funny enough, so
Is that right? Is that right?
love it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm not as like hardcore with Battlefront because they hardly give any information to cover, which is
Right.
pissing me off. But
Yo, is it true? I have a question for you, Matt. Then
So-
is it true then that it's just going to be multiplayer? It's not going to have any sort of
Yes.
campaign or single player? Okay.
yeah, there's like a single player mode called Missions,
I
and
assume that's similar to the AI that was done.
yeah, it's basically the same. It's basically like the instant action where you can just hop on any map and whatever. But there's also like a horde survival mode. There's
Okay.
there's a lot of things to it, but like even no one really knows much about this game. Like DICE is being awkwardly quiet about it, but I feel like because it's EA in the last couple of months, they're just gonna like blow this thing out of the water and just start promoting the shit out of it.
They've,
I mean, look what they did with
teased us.
Battlefield 4.
Yeah,
They've teased us with some pretty awesome, I hope it is, gameplay footage.
yeah,
Because
Yep.
that stuff, that I actually remember putting on Facebook, I need this in my life. Like, I mean, I need to ask permission. Hey, hon, can we carve out let's schedule 2 hours a day for just days. where I play
The
this
kids will be
game.
at school. Like, don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I have a 1-year-old, man. That's not gonna
uh,
I have an almost 6-year-old, a 3.5-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So my game playing is going to be rough. I've gotten de facto permission to purchase a new console, purchase Fallout 4, and I'm
Yes.
putting my money down. I'm
Yes.
putting my money down. I don't even need
I
sort of gift. I'm putting my money down. And I'm buying my Fallout 4, and I'm going to start playing this thing because I'm just excited about it. But secondly, Star Wars Battlefront is going to be
Oh,
my
yes.
next
Yeah.
choice.
So pro
Ryan,
tip,
we have to
Brian,
get your gamer tag. You don't have to tell us it now, but we're all gonna play
I
together.
don't have a
tonight,
gamer
so-
tag. I don't even
You're
know what the
gonna
hell
get a
that is.
gamer tag.
You're gonna get one. Yeah.
that's amazing. That's his favorite game franchise.
Maddie's
That's gonna
totally
be-
fanboying right now. It's
Yeah.
so cute. It's
That's the only 2 things I talk about. That's literally my channel is so weird. Like I talk about 2 things. I talk about Star Wars and I talk about Fallout. Like that's what I love to talk about. So I talk about it.
Are there any Halo 5 fans that I'm talking to?
A lot actually. Funny thing, Lone, you'll know this. Inside joke on our Twitch stream usually is that everyone wants me and Lone to get a bunch of viewers together and do a Halo night. So yeah, we got a lot of people who actually want
Okay.
to.
You know, I actually play a small role in that in Halo 4 Spartan Ops and Halo 5 Guardians.
sweet.
But you can't. I'm
Play a
assuming
small
you can't
role.
really talk about that too much, or can
No,
you?
I can. It's Roland. It's the AI of the US
Oh,
and the UNSC Infinity. AI, Roland. I'm the little orange holographic computer.
oh, that's pretty awesome.
Sweet.
I actually know what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I have a special place in my heart. Halo 4 Spartan Ops, by the way. I have to say, forgive me, I know we're talking about Fallout 4, but it has a
No,
special
no,
place in my heart because it was my first mocap job.
Oh yeah.
I got to do my first mocap job on Spartan Ops, and that whole organization is just awesome. So that was a great experience. Halo 5 Guardians was a great experience. So I also have a special place in my heart for Halo.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
That's
we all here.
Halo was
Halo,
just
so-
my brother and I used to split screen Halo 2 with the old Xbox, and of
Oh, there
course
you
screen peeking was, I mean, there was we ended up putting like a piece of cardboard across the screen. It still didn't help. It just fell. But
That's awesome. Well, now that we're on this kind of topic, I'll ask this question now. What video game franchise or developer would you like to do voice acting work with next? If you could have any
Well,
choice.
if you had to choose,
Yeah.
I have my. I mean, I they've been on my list. I mean, the short answer for any actor, I may be talking to you guys, and I'm riding high on this experience of Fallout 4 and everything, but I'm still that ham and egger at heart. Every actor's unemployed at the end of every day, so it's I'll take any job. But if you had to pin me down, I'd have to say the callback to Last of Us.
Oh.
Anything Naughty Dog does.
Okay.
Naughty Dog is just, I mean, when it comes to material, I mean, even like, you know, I've seen all the cutscenes. I haven't played the games, I have to confess, but just general real occupational research, just watching those cutscenes or any of the cinematics from those games, like Uncharted, that series, The Last of Us, it's just what they do is really impressive too. You know what I mean? Like, so I'd like to, if they'd ever give me a shot, I'd love to work for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Naughty Dog.
If you're listening, Naughty Dog, Brian wants to work with you.
Which I'm sure they are. Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's not like, will you give me a job, please? That's not how it works. That's not how it works. I mean, for the right role. Here's the thing. To go back to an earlier question, I think Noah was talking about it, and this is actually a tangent of that question. I can't even remember. But when I was auditioning for this, especially the second round, the callback auditioning material, the script, for some reason, you know, you talked about "Let's go, pal," and I say "pal" anyway. I've been saying it for years. Like, I'm like, when you're an East Coaster, you're from Philadelphia or New York or anywhere, you're always like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing, Chief? What's up, pal? How you doing, buddy? You know what I mean? So it's like the music of the writing. And I have to give a shout out to Emil Paglarulo, Will Shen. I'm losing it. Who else? Those are the two the writers that I've talked to on the horn. You know, they would be Skyped into most of the sessions. Will Lampert, audio director, shout out to him. He was in a lot of sessions. The writing that they did, like Emil is from Boston. Coincidence.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where like the East Coast kind of flavor, I think, permeated a lot of the language in the script. And I don't know why I just keyed into it. I just loved it. And I just could hear the music of every line or most of the lines. And whenever, you know, when it came up, "Let's go, pal," so I'm like, "Let's go, pal." And it was just like, it was awesome.
It's every time we hear it, it's just like, yes.
I love it.
Because he's talking in his normal voice, and then you just drop it. You're like, "Let's go, pal," and then you go back.
Actually, you know what line I thought was hilarious that they used at their E3 presentation? And Todd Howard gave this great little like setup. You know, you could be just sitting with your dog, and the right song comes on. Your Pip-Boy.
Yeah.
Want to go fuck some shit up? Like I couldn't believe they chose that line, and I'm like, I was so stoked when I chose that line. And by the way, I was in that theater listening to Todd and Anonymous. I'm just in that room at the Dolby Theater in Hollywood, California, and it was just, I'm an actor. It's where the Academy Awards are, and I'm like sitting there, and I got Courtney to my left, and to her left is our voice director, Cal Bogdanov. And I'm like sitting there watching the gameplay, and I'm just like, my whole body's numb, tingling. I'm like, holy shit. And then they set that up, and they play that line, and I'm like, oh my God, they used that one? Like, it was just like, it was pretty cool.
Best trailer, honestly, I've seen in a really long time. That Atom Bomb song, holy crap.
Well, not only that, but the nice thing about that whole press conference was that they, not only did they obviously announce Fallout 4 and talk about it and stuff, but it wasn't like, oh, here's a 30-second, you know, like they gave you saw it. It was 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I mean, you saw the game, you know, and heard it too, you know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of seeing the game, this is just a little thing I wanted to throw in on the side for anyone who's listening for Fallout 4 news. I've seen on Twitter that someone asked on a Bethesda Facebook status, like, you know, if anyone who wasn't at QuakeCon was going to see anything about Fallout 4 from there, and they said stay tuned. So I'm assuming we're going to be seeing something soon.
That's awesome. Wait, you didn't attend QuakeCon this year, did you, Brian?
No. Okay. Again, I'm new, and I don't. It's not like I'm in the what's the word I'm looking for, the cycle of conventions and whatnot. Like, I didn't even know some of these existed. I actually there's a user on Twitter talked about, his name is Sam. He talked about EB Expo.
Yeah.
He talked about, and then somebody else brought up Armageddon Expo. And I'm like, oh man, I'd love to go to these things, but I don't think they can happen this year. It's just, I don't know if it's too soon or I can't afford an airline ticket, even going economy on Qantas to your continent or anything. But I hope in the future too. I didn't attend QuakeCon. I didn't go to any of the conventions or anything. I hope I can make it one day.
If you ever went to an EB Expo in Australia, I will go down there and meet you straight up. And
that's cool.
You can stay in Loans.
You don't want me to see your face, man. Are you gonna wear like a monkey mask or something? Or
No, that I'm fine with.
Like, hello.
Hey, Lone, if I meet you, I'm gonna want to take like a picture and all this stuff, and I can't use it. I'm just gonna have to.
This is gonna be sitting my phone.
Maddie has the same issue. Like, I'm gonna visit him in the States and visit Noah in the States. They're gonna take pictures and just like stare at them at their phone and not release them.
No, my plan.
Here's what I'm
gonna do.
Shut up. Shut up.
No, I was going first.
No,
I'm gonna put Lone's face in paint. I'm literally gonna black out his face. I'm gonna say I took a picture with Lone. You can't see what he looks like, but no, he's wonderful. He's great.
No, can't do that. Don't black out his face. That's racist.
Yeah, white Jesus.
Don't be doing that now. Don't be doing that now.
I'm gonna make a game out of it. I'm gonna take a picture with Lone and Matt, and then like a couple of other fans, and then post like 8 pictures on Twitter and be like, guess which one is Lone.
No, it's gonna be so obvious. You're
gonna need
literally a kangaroo or something. Like,
speaking of kangaroos, that picture that all Fallout made of us, like when like it was like that meme. It was like the male protagonist of Fallout. No, he saw it. We all saw it. It was the male protagonist of Fallout 4. He's like, I'm here for the podcast, and it's like Codsworth. And you just see all our faces, like all our really stupid faces. And for some reason, I just see Lone on the right, just this kangaroo face. I just started laughing.
I laughed out loud with that one, yeah.
And then fucking Pete Hines is sitting there. He's like, don't say shit, Brian.
By the way, a user on Twitter said, asked me a question, and I says, I'm not cleared to talk about that. And then he laughs. He says, I understand. Pete Hines and Todd Howard probably will have a sniper rifle trained on your face if you say anything. And I'm like, I hope not.
They're camped out on like a roof across like.
I know, right? That's a hell of an image. They're gonna hire Jason Bourne if I say any shit on that.
That's the new Bond movie. Like, that's the premise for it, is they're going after Brian, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Related to that, here's a question. How hard was it to keep that secret for 2 years that you were working on Fallout 4?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, the short answer is probably going to be disappointing. It wasn't terribly hard.
Okay.
Until the end. As E3 was quickly approaching, the months leading up to it were like, I was kind of excited, like, can I talk about this now? Because I was kind of keeping it professional. I mean, the only people that knew, remember, nobody was calling me up. Nobody was emailing me. Nobody was tweeting anything, asking me anything. So I was kind of anonymous, almost entirely anonymous on this issue. And the only people that knew that I was working on something were people that says, oh, where did you work? Or what kind of role do you have? Oh, well, I get to be the player character on this one. They go, oh, which one? I go, I can't say. And I'm usually talking to an actor who understands NDA. Yeah. So it's not like the pressure was on. It's not like, it's not like, helicopters are flying around to see if they can. So it was easy up until the end. And as it got closer and closer, I wanted to burst at the seams. I'm like, I've been working on this for like, almost 2 years. Can we talk about it yet? I'm dying to talk about it. But like I said, at E3, Todd Howard gave us a gift, like they didn't make us wait until November. They kind of announced our names, and it's been kind of a great ride. So I'm grateful to them.
That's awesome.
And that was spontaneous. You didn't know that was going to happen, that you were going to be announced there. Is that correct?
No, they didn't know. They didn't know until that morning. Todd Howard just sitting around the conference table. He said this back in his office, in actually the office rooms behind their stage at E3 at the convention center.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, yeah, we just said, hey, you know what? We got to get this together. And he was just like, oh, wow, that was cool.
Todd's voice so well. It's great.
Well, like I said, we're from the same area generally. I mean, like,
love Todd.
I tell you, he is a swell dude, man. He is a great guy. And I'm grateful to him and the team. I just got to give a little shout out to Todd Howard. He's awesome.
Absolutely.
He's just awesome.
We all have to give a shout out to Todd Howard at this point. Like,
God.
You know what you said about the gameplay demo being not 30 seconds, but a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
You know, they really, 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 I've learned over these 2 years, really care about the process. This has been one of the first, if not the first. It may be just one of the first. And this is from my voice director. This is testimony from him. Mm. They would do a chunk of lines, take it back, 4 or 5 weeks later, come back, we do another chunk of lines. They would be constantly beta testing this. Players just playing the game through, making sure everything fits, making sure it's as seamless as possible, making sure there's this few, where the line, like you've heard these in games probably. You guys are like master gamers. Like you'll have a line of dialogue and then the response seems to come out of nowhere. I'm like, why the hell did he say it like that? Like they want to eliminate as much of that as possible. If they've taken as much care with the whole game as I've witnessed with just my character and my lines, I think the fans are going to be really pleased because they took their time. They care about their audience. They care about the gamer community. They care about Fallout fans a lot. And they took their time, man. It was really awesome to see.
That makes me excited, genuinely. Because with this company doing, voice protagonist for the first time, and from what you're saying, really doing it right. I mean, better than companies that have been doing it for years. High hopes. Definitely high hopes.
And related, I love how these questions are just all rolling off the natural conversation. So you might have just mentioned it, but how was the experience of working with Bethesda for 2 years, and what did you like the most?
Wow, what did I like the most? I mean, because there is only a like list. There's nothing I didn't like. So it's what did I like the most?
Or a few things you liked the most, like maybe,
oh boy, are you guys okay with actor speak? Because I'm an actor.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
The writing, I loved their writing. Like I said like I said 10 minutes ago, the writing was just, I heard it, I could hear it in my head. I think I got a sense of what, Will Shen was talking about when he wrote this line or that line. I'm like, okay, I get it. I loved the writing. It seemed to flow. I mean, all of the lines were like, a couple of them I spontaneously would shout out from behind the glass, like, wow, I really love the way that line was written. It's really awesome. Like, it's just, the writing was awesome. My voice director, when they hired, Cal Bogdanov as the voice director, they couldn't have got a better guy. The care that he took, we talk about the care that Bethesda took, but the care that this voice director took was, I've never had an experience like that. We were almost finishing each other's direction sentences in our heads toward the end. It was just like, we were like, mind melded into, no, I know, no, I didn't like that. You didn't like that. Let me do it again. He would be, like I said, he would have that shorthand. And here's an interesting little piece of inside baseball on this particular process. I believe I can share it. It's pretty general. He would point out the different ways he would direct me versus directing Courtney. Courtney would get he would give more of the intuitive, emotionally driven and actable directions. He could just say a word or make them feel this way, and bam, she was right on it, and she was gold. And she is gold, man. I mean, it was the tip of the iceberg, what you heard in the gameplay demo. I've heard a little bit more, not a lot, by the way, but a little bit more of Courtney's performance. And man, oh man, have they nailed it for the female protagonist. I highly recommend whoever you choose, definitely don't put the game away until you've played as the female protagonist, because Courtney's performance is awesome. But he would direct her that way. But he kind of discovered how I would be acting and behaving and what I would do with my body behind the mic. I'm more of a physical actor. He would have, at one point, it was early on in the process too. He found this early on in the process. He would just do a gesture with his hand, and I deliver the line exactly the way he thought it. Jeez. And it was just that kind of thing is awesome. So the writing, the voice directing. I also love the fact that the people, every session, by the way, that I was in, there was a dev on the phone listening in. We would check in every so often.
That's awesome.
It was just amazing. I loved that care that they took with the game. I mean, there was always a Bethesda presence. They were always supportive. They trusted the voice director so much that it got to a point where like they just got to sit in and enjoy the session and just say, well, guys, I love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, great.
That's awesome.
The only times we really had to really talk to them in a sense of like, you know, seek their counsel or seek their kind of, you know, their help in any way was just on context a couple of times. You know, hey guys, this line, can you help us with it? Because we don't, what happens just before it? Who are we talking to exactly? And what do we want? That kind of thing. So, I mean, that was also awesome. I mean, it was just all awesome, but if I had to pinpoint 3 things, those are the 3 things.
Awesome.
I love it. I just love hearing about the process and the behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot.
When I'm done talking about, when I'm done my answer, I'm like, oh boy, I hope that wasn't like a bore fest.
No, we're eating this up. Like, I promise you. Like, you know, one of the things that a lot of gamers don't realize necessarily, or especially, and I don't mean to sound like an asshole when I say this, but especially some of the younger ones, is because I speak from experience from when I was like 14 and playing these games, like, oh, this is dumb, because, you know, and it's I have no idea what's going into this game, and I tried my hand at game development from sophomore year of high school to last year. Yeah, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of work. I mean, you know, it is not as easy as some people make it out to be, you know, and I mean, when you're telling me that, you know, you had a dev sit in and, you know, to the point where he was just enjoying what he was hearing. I mean, that just makes it to where it's like, this game is going to be fantastic. You know, I mean,
it's funny. It's funny that you say that. You know, we all have high hopes. You know, it's one of those things where it's unavoidable. I believe the game is going to be incredible. You can't you can't work as hard as Bethesda's worked on this and it not be awesome.
Right.
But
Ryan, this is why we call Todd Howard God Howard. All right, now you get it.
All of the words that proceed from Todd's mouth.
Exactly.
But I do have to say, when, you know, early on, when the, you know, different guys who I'd work with, you know, either an engineer, a session coordinator, or the voice director himself, you know, wow, this is big. This is the first time they've had a voiced protagonist, so this is a big deal. And I got kind of a shiver a little bit. I'm like, oh, gamers don't necessarily like change all the time. Are they going to be cool with this?
Yeah.
And my voice director had to like talk me down and say, hey man, it's cool. I'm going to tell you this though. The possibility is this: anytime there's a big change, and this is a big change, there's 50% of the people are going to love it, 50% of the people are going to hate it.
Yeah.
And just give them time. My voice director, I keep saying that long thing. I'm just going to call him Cal. Can I call him Cal?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Cal. Yeah.
Every time, yeah, Cal. Cal's awesome. He would. He said he knows a little bit more about a lot more actually about the process, a little bit more about the story. He was there from the beginning. The process for me started a little over 2 years ago. The process for him started almost 4 years ago. The process for Bethesda, I think, started in like 2007 or 2008.
Yeah.
Apparently, it started right when Fallout 3 came out.
Fallout 3 came out, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I heard this. I didn't obviously get to this point because I haven't scoured the whole wasteland in Fallout 3. But when I asked Cal about that very thing, like when did they start thinking about this? He goes, I don't know, but I have heard it. I didn't see it when I played it, but I have heard it online that if you're in one of those subway tunnels under DC, Boston 2015.
Yep.
And
that does
called
exist.
it to the year and the month because most games come out end of the year in time for Christmas, I guess. I don't know.
That was actually, wait, hold on.
That's not a mod, guys. That was 100%.
I know that was real, but that was like I don't want to say a plan, but that was like a ballpark for them. Like let's put this here. Like, was that actually that? Is that what you're saying they were saying, or is it just like coincidence?
No, he's saying that.
I'm saying that was, they were thinking about. Now, here's the thing. I don't know. Right?
Oh my God.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying I know what they thought. All I'm telling you is what Cal told me, and my mind was blown when I'm like, holy shit. By the way, making games, I've learned over this process, hard, very hard. It takes years and years and so much time and so much effort. Like I said, Bethesda's put that time in. And by the way, they're not necessarily the largest game developer in the world.
No, of course not.
They're kind of they're like
100 people.
I didn't know. Yeah, they're like 100 people. That's what Cal was telling me. They're a relatively small outfit compared.
I didn't realize it was that small. Wow.
Yeah. It's a small outfit, and they do all of it. They do all of it. I was told they don't outsource. They like do all that hard work. Now, again, don't quote me on that. I'm just going by what I heard. And
yeah, fair enough.
It was just one of those things where like I was humbled by that. Like these guys are the real deal, man. They are awesome. They know what they're doing, and they're blood, sweat, and tearing it up, man.
And it pays for them though. Like in the end, I mean, the finished product, just with at least 3 in New Vegas from the success of them, or in 3 in general, you know, it pays. You know, look at Rockstar. Rockstar does a very similar thing. Now they're a much bigger studio, but again, from what I know, a lot of it is in house. You know, 5 years to do GTA 5, and I mean, it was one of the biggest games to release. You know, the sales from it.
And that's why I think a lot of us are big fans of just Bethesda as a publisher and then BGS as a game studio, because they do take the time to make a really finely polished game. And I don't want to say this generally, but I think a lot of that has been lost because, you know, with releases annually of games, quality might not be up to snuff with a lot of games, but Bethesda will always seems like this anyways, give priority to making a great game, regardless of when it's launched, regardless of delays. That's their main concern. And I think that the passion that goes behind development on Bethesda's side is truly admirable. And what you've just said has just bolstered that opinion of mine that I hold. So
yeah. Well, excellent. I've seen nothing that would throw that into doubt. I mean, I've only seen dedication, hard work, you know, care for the fans, really, too. I mean, like, it's not an ancillary thing. You know, it made me laugh out loud when they saw the gameplay demo at E3, and somebody like a spontaneous exclamation tweet. It's like Bethesda read everything the fans wanted and then did it. And it was,
I've said that so many times.
I love that. And you know what's funny? When you know, obviously it's from 2 years ago, I knew that they were doing the new thing with the voice protagonist and all that stuff. But when Todd went through and then said every glass, bottle, can, piece of garbage I pick up, and then I can start building stuff, that's when I went, oh my God, that's awesome. He basically just made this like a 10-year adventure of rebuilding a retro futuristic Boston wasteland. It's like incredible what they did.
And it just works, as Todd Howard.
It just works.
By the way, those memes crack me up too. There's like a picture of him with like I don't know what it is. It's
like a lanyard around his neck, right?
Yeah.
Or, no, there's something on his head.
Oh.
I don't know. It's a picture and it's just like, it just works. You know?
Jesus.
I got to ask you, all right? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Okay. Does Todd know about these memes and stuff? Everyone wants to know.
Because he doesn't have Twitter.
I don't know. I can't say that again.
Because Todd doesn't actually have Twitter. So when you mentioned that you didn't have Twitter,
I tried to actually follow him, and it was just like, nope, no, he's not there. And if there is anything there, it's probably something he did like a year ago, and he hasn't really like fed it or anything. I'd like to think this. This is just my theory. I don't know if he knows about these memes. If he did know, and I'm guessing, somebody at work has to show him because that man's too busy to really. I have a lot, all of us fans of Fallout, we have time to like make things or comment on things. I think that guy is he's too focused on making an awesome game to really enjoy that kind of stuff. Because if you enjoy that kind of stuff, it could take you down a rabbit trail. And then like it's 2 hours later, it's like, oh shit, I should have finished that quest for Fallout 4. You know, it's just like, I don't know if he knows, but he's not on Twitter, so it could be one of those things where just a buddy shows him. You know, who knows? Pete Hines might show him during
Oh
a
my God.
meeting.
Pete
Pete
You know.
Hines distracts him. Is like, God damn it, Pete.
Hey, I'm not saying that. You said that. I didn't say that.
That's true. I did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how Pete's been brought into the meme universe too. Like everyone loves Pete now. They used to hate him because of like the whole Fallout 4 thing. Like everyone, in
why?
case you didn't know, Brian, it's not anything wrong with Pete. Pete's a great guy. It was more so the fact that everyone blamed him for the fact that Fallout 4 wasn't out yet because he was like the head PR.
Oh,
So
right,
like
right.
everyone thought that since he's handling public relations on Twitter and the one who will quote announce the game, that it's his fault that it's not there. So people would
for
like
whatever reason.
literally shit all over him, and it wasn't fair at all. And like
No,
I
that's
made
not-
multiple videos being like, hey, try to back off a little bit, give the man some space, and
Yeah.
try to
These
use
are the angry 14-year-olds who don't understand how a lot of
Yeah.
this stuff works.
A lot of this stuff it's heavy. It's time consuming,
not
and
easy.
it's a long process. And I give props to Pete for staying strong because, you know, people shouldn't shit on the PR guy.
No.
For
He
the
probably
following
cries
week.
himself to sleep at night.
no, no.
Ew.
Just kidding. Yeah.
I mean, he seems like a stalwart guy. I mean, he wouldn't have that position if he couldn't handle it.
Of course
But
not.
it's one of those things where it's just like when the fans start saying, "You're not doing this thing in the timetable I decide."
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of like, oh, what are they gonna do? You know, everybody had to know. Let me ask you guys. I have a question for you guys. Like, did you have to know that there was a Fallout 4 was coming? You know, years ago,
we all
a year
knew.
ago.
No, this is my honest
We had an
opinion.
inkling.
Deep down, we all knew. Just from a logical standpoint, you don't make
Yeah.
Fallout 3 and New Vegas, which were, you know, so highly successful, and then go, all right, guys, we're done with the series. You know, we're not going to make any more.
Yeah.
We all knew, but I guess it was just that confirmation officially that the game was actually in development, because there was a running gag for a while that Fallout 4 was becoming the new Half-Life 3. And no one wanted it to get to that stage. People were fearful that Fallout 4 would actually just not be developed at all. And it comes down to passion, but it was, you know, passion started to be blurred with anger. And I think it was definitely unjustified, but that's where it came from, essentially. We all knew, but we just wanted confirmation from someone like Pete Hines saying, yes, it's being made. So that was
Lone,
it.
you're like a poet. I mean,
passion, brother.
Lone,
Anger.
Lone,
Yes?
you're like a poet, and your accent makes it better. Just like, no.
you know what? These are words from Brian's.
I should call my wife in. Can you say all of that again, just so my wife?
Yep.
She's actually going to want me. She's actually going to want me to imitate you.
Let me go get like a glass of cognac, and then I'll like speak poetry to all of you.
Yeah, get a smoking jacket and a cigar.
Light the fire.
Oh, I
yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, thank
Hey,
you for
you
that.
guys are awesome. You guys make it easy. I'll tell you that. You guys make it easy.
Awesome.
That's
Glad.
really not.
I'm like
That's
rapping with you. Like if we were all hanging out having a beer in my living room.
I wish.
20, I'm not old enough to drink, Brian.
It's like we're all in my living room having sarsaparilla. I'm sorry.
Sunset sarsaparilla. Right. Now that meme is gonna start up, but
I love it. Absolutely love it.
I'm already waiting for the photoshops of all of us in a living room somewhere.
Yeah, it's gonna happen now. Now you said that,
Yeah.
Brian. This
Is that right?
It's a new Photoshop thing every week when we do a podcast.
Every like other day. Like
Yeah.
True. Now, it
Wow.
just happens all the time. Our faces are put on everything imaginable. All right, for example, P9's posted a picture of some dude from QuakeCon who took the Fallout face mask that they gave out and he covered his dick with it, honestly. I
Yep.
don't know what else to say. He did. And people started removing that, putting my face there and Noah's face on the guy standing next to him.
God.
Wow. You're Pete Hines codpiece? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, like it was just ridiculous.
And
Yeah, like,
Pete Hines
Hines'
had the best
face on it.
response to this.
Yeah.
It was like he posted that photo and he was like, "Oh, someone just messaged me, so this just happened." And then he sent out another tweet saying, "Oh, please take the mask off." Oh wait, keep it on, because that's all that was covering the junk. It was so funny. I loved it. Loved it.
Oh boy.
It was great.
I just want to say, Brian, like legitimately, even though we're not ending now, this has been by far my most favorite podcast. It's just,
Yeah.
Really?
yeah, man. It's
I was just about to ask you guys because this is my first time doing this. How am I doing? Am I, are you having?
Perfect.
Are the
You're doing
answers
pretty okay, I guess.
okay? No, this is my first time doing this. I just want to make sure I'm not being too,
No.
No, I mean you're doing exactly what we want you to do. Let's
I'm
Brian,
not
it-
being too anything.
it
Nope.
just works. It just works.
It just worked.
yeah, let's go, pal.
It's good to be.
Oh my god.
I love it.
Oh my god. I can't wait till he ends the podcast with something awesome like that.
Oh my god.
So I'll preface this now before we get to the end. What we usually do, Brian, is have the guest end the podcast. Now, we're still not finished yet, but if you could just think at the back of your mind a cool quote or something you want to say just to end the podcast, that would be awesome. But holy shit, I'm having so much fun.
Pressure's on. Pressure's on.
No, yeah, literally. We're giving you the benefit that we'll have random viewers of mine or Loans that'll just come on and join us because we like to involve the viewers, but we'll just throw them out there under the bus in the last 10 seconds. We'll be like, all right, podcast is over. Hey, by the way,
fun part.
we like to let the guests and the podcast are like, oh, yeah. We're like, okay, so yeah, we're going to be quiet now. It's all yours. And they're like, it's so
Thanks
fun.
for listening. I mean, like it's
Nissan.
fun. That's the price you pay. You want to be on the podcast? That's awesome, but you got to end it.
Yeah.
Love
it.
I'll end it with just I'll end it with like a brief sentence. Does
Yeah,
that sound
I
good?
love it.
By
That
all
sounds
means,
good.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, Maddie, you have
picture
questions
literally
now. I've ran out of questions on my side.
Yeah,
So take the wheel.
Yeah.
Well, do you mind if I take can I take a couple minutes to just because the one thing I wanted to do, and I asked Maddie's permission to do this. I just wanted to, if that's okay, Maddie. Is this too soon to do
I'm answering.
Twitter questions?
Oh yeah, by all means.
Are you sure you're cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do
Absolutely.
Well, let me preface it with this. I have had such a wonderful outpouring of awesome from the Fallout fans on Twitter, and I just want to just tip my hat to those wonderful people because it's been really great. They've been asking great questions. They've been saying wonderful things, and they seem really supportive of the even if they were nervous about maybe this big change of having a voice protagonist. They've been kind of open to it, and I really like that. And I've been really impressed, by the way, because the fans actually really get into it. I remember when I first booked Halo 4 Spartan Ops, and I had this character, and I would just research things about that universe, and it's amazing, like all the fan fiction that they would have written about it and all this.
Speaking
For instance,
of fanfics, Brian, have you ever heard of Fallout Equestria by chance?
No, Matt, don't explain it.
I have not.
It's a Fallout crosses My Little Pony. You might want to show it to your kids.
It's also very oddly erotic. I'm not saying I'm a fan of it, but for fuck's sake,
What are you saying, Noah?
people, I don't know at this point. Words are just coming
He
out.
doth protest too much.
Exactly. I wish it was written in Old English like that. It would make it
Like, suffice it to say, Brian, I say this obviously with a lot of bias, but I think Fallout fans, they're generally the nicest, most passionate fans that you will meet out there for video games. Like
That's what I'm finding. What I'm finding. For instance, like with the fan fiction thing, there's somebody that actually reached out and wanted to know my opinion, and they were really cool. Actually, I'm trying to think of their handle. I think it was like Galaxy Trooper TV. That was it.
Yeah,
got a shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out. Oh, by the way, I guess I have to finish my story, but I have something I have to say after this. I didn't know that this would. Okay. Anyway, they have this thing called Risk Comics. It's at Risk Comics on Twitter.
Yep.
And they just sent it to me, and I just like, oh wow, all this stuff that's written for it's like a Fallout comic, but it's fan fiction. And then I'm like, wow, this is great. And you just made me think. Who said a shout out? Who said that?
I did.
Noah.
Okay. I don't want to. I don't have a mechanism in place because you reminded me of something else. I don't have a mechanism in place because I've also had requests for shout outs and if they mail me if fans could mail me things and I sign them.
Yeah.
Oh my
I don't know. I don't know if I could. There's not a system in place for me to handle that.
Yeah.
All I can tell those fans is, and this is my plea, I guess. I don't want my wife to have to deal with packages in the mail and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know that I will be visiting you. I'm sure that I'll be visiting Fallout fans all over the globe.
Absolutely.
One of these days. And if you could just hold off until then, and I go to a convention or QuakeCon or Armageddon Expo or something like that.
I'll come to Australia. Yeah, come to Australia.
I'd love to come. But if you could just hold off on those requests, and I'm humbled by those requests, but I'm also overwhelmed by them because I don't know how to handle that because, like I said, this is all new to me. But back to the fans, like they've been just so what I think Lone was saying, like they're passionate and they're positive and all this stuff. I just want to take a couple seconds to answer some questions that I've had. Is that okay?
Go nuts.
Absolutely.
Go nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is from BOF 107 asked, was it stressful to voice everything? I mean, everything. And I thought that was a wonderful question. I in the sense that they made it sound like that 13,000 line was everything. I didn't voice everything. I voiced one half actually of the entire player character, but I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but let's just say that the 13,000 number, double that's the player characters, and then that is merely a fraction of all the lines that obviously you can hear in the entire wasteland.
Of course,
Wow.
yeah.
So I just want to point that out, that hey, I'm just a part of a cast that is just an incredible cast, and I know of a couple other people that voiced a couple of the really important NPCs, and the voice cast is stellar voice cast. This is a question actually about Halo, and I think we already covered it, but Halo 5 Guardians is coming out in October. That's also awesome. What's better, energy weapons or normal guns? This is from BOS Paladin Wolf.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yep, he's asked a couple of questions.
Whatever tool fits the job is my only answer.
There you go.
I love it. Love it.
This is from Jacket. I wanted to give this question. I think we already covered it. Are Bethesda Game Studios the best people you worked with? I mean, it's difficult to say. The best answer I can give is I don't know. If you know somebody who's awesome for 5 weeks and you know somebody who's awesome for 2.5 years, of course I'm going to favor the longer relationship, but they're both awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Cut me off when you want to move on.
You keep going.
Dude,
You keep
go
going.
on.
This is great.
Go through, do you think?
This is a great question. This is from, I don't know, it's WIER Frail. It's like Via de Frail. I don't know if that's German or it's Wire de Frail. Asked, don't you have to, this is in response to actually an answer I gave to another Twitter user. Don't you have to see the situation to say the lines, or do you have it described to you? And this is actually a good process question. I don't see a thing. The first time I saw the reveal trailer was the first time I saw anything that had
Jeez.
I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy.
The first time,
I think people, not to interrupt you, I think people always assume that the voice actors have so much inside knowledge because they're voicing what's going to happen in the game, but I don't think they see anything. They just kind of have to use their imagination, their acting skills to put themselves in that situation. From what I've learned, everyone thinks like, oh, you're a voice actor, so you've played the game basically, you know what's going to happen, all that stuff. And I didn't think it was really the case.
And another quick callback to my voice director. That's why Cal was such, not only was he a great voice director, but he was also such an asset because he described every situation perfectly, just what we needed to deliver the line appropriately. So I thought that was a really good question. Did you prefer any? This is from DJ Fallout at Wolfblade 1989.
I know him. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you prefer any particular karma lines, good, bad, etc., or did they become just lines? I thought that was an interesting question. First of all, I'm not 100% sure where karma plays a part. I mean, personally, people that went to QuakeCon may have a better idea of that. But I do know that there wasn't just lines where "fuck you" and like it wasn't just like flying off the handle of like, yeah, sure, I'll help. Nah, I can't right now. Fuck your mother, It's not like
didn't expect that.
the way the lines were, like I was talking about nuance earlier in this interview in the podcast, that everything was so rooted to the best of our ability. We rooted everything, no matter how crazy the line may have been on the page. The line was delivered in as realistic, as grounded, as rooted a way as possible. So I'm not going to say they just became just lines, but they were all lines that a human being would say to another human being, given the circumstances. What else? Forgive me.
No, this is great insight. I'm loving this. Fuck.
Yeah.
Keep going, Brian.
Okay, if you're cool with this, because these Twitter fans, or excuse me, these Fallout fans on Twitter, they're asking, really great questions. I mean, like really
They ask a lot.
Yeah.
They ask me like I work at Bethesda. Hilarious.
Hey, it's worth a shot. If you don't ask, you don't know, right? Do you have a favorite line from Fallout 4 which you can share with us?
I saw your response. Yeah.
I can't respond. Obviously, I can't actually say any of the actual lines. But man, oh man, ask me that question after November, the launch date. 'Cause I have a couple. What else? Oh, this was an interesting question. I think I answered it on Twitter, but I thought it was a pretty good question because it plays to the question of was the situation described or did I see it? When you play the game, are you going to alter the character's face or stay with the default due to me working with that one? I didn't work with a face except my own, and I don't see my own face. I don't work with a face. I didn't see any renderings. I didn't see any drawings. I didn't see any characters. I didn't see what any of the NPCs looked like. By the way, connected to that's going to be one of the, somebody else on Twitter asked, is it kind of spoiled since you kind of went through all this stuff? I'm like, no, I want to meet these people. I want to meet everybody I've been talking to for 2.5 years, darn near. And I don't know what any of them look like. I don't know what most of them sound like. So it's going to be an exciting adventure for me in a different way.
That's interesting. Got a good perspective on it.
Next question was, by the way, my notifications on Twitter, like
explode.
I didn't know. Well, no, they exploded, of course, but I tried to pick a lot of questions early on too. And they apparently they drop off after a couple weeks. I don't know, but
wow.
I couldn't get all of them. This next question, have you done any DLC work or do you just not know what's DLC versus what's main game work? The answer to that question is I can't answer it.
Fair enough.
But I thought it was a good question, but I can't answer those kind of kind of content questions, those kind of UI questions. But I respect the
It's
question.
a good question, but it's a fair answer.
This question was actually from a guy named Nate. First of all, that previous question was Jonathan Thompson. I'm trying to remember to say all of their names or handles. This is from Nate. He wanted to know if he could buy my Bethesda E3 bracelet that we all wore in the audience, and I told him I had to hand that in if I wanted the little figurines that they were giving out.
That's such a bummer.
I know. And he said, oh, that's a bummer. They collected them. That sucks. Hey, I bought a Brotherhood one. If I mail it to you, will you sign it or something? This is to Nate. Nate, I want to say yes, but if I say yes, I think I'd be opening up the floodgates to something that I'm not really prepared to deal with right now. Definitely. And I feel like a dick saying that, but I really do want to interact with fans and stuff like that. And that leads me to my next plea. I'm getting so many great questions. I'm getting so many great responses, and I try my darndest to get to every single one of them. And if I don't respond, it's not because I don't want to. It's not because I thought your question was like stupid or anything. I don't think that.
You just can't.
I do work. I work a couple times a week, and I have my family and stuff like that, and I can't always get to it, and sometimes I miss it and stuff like that. Most of the time I'll see it, but I just want you to know that I appreciate every question I get or every comment I get or every wonderful supportive statement I get, but I can't always get to it. And I got kind of spooked a little bit because I got asked a question. I didn't know how to phrase it because I'm not used to tweeting, so I don't know how to tweet things really well. And I got the question. I think I favorited it to let them know, which was a bad idea, to let them know that I saw it, but I didn't answer it for like a day. And then they said, can't answer, say yes or no.
Ooh.
And
that's mean on their end.
No.
Worse.
Well, here's the thing. I'll get like a response to my silence, and it'll be say yes or no, and then there'll be like a colon with the letter O, lowercase, and it might be like kind of like an exclamation face of some sort.
Yeah.
But they may be saying it, they may be delivering it and typing it like this: say yes or no. But I hear it. Say yes or no.
That's probably what it's supposed to be delivered as.
Right. They could mean it. They could mean it so gently and sweetly, but I don't know how to interpret it. So I'm like, oh man, I don't want to piss off.
Internet.
Not on the internet. No, I'm just kidding.
What's that?
I said not on the internet.
And not on the internet. My kids might see the tweets, and I don't want to be like, I'm going to kill your children. I don't want to piss anybody off. But just know that I don't really have a system in place, but trust me, like I'm sure that I'll visit someplace in the next year or two if you want me, visit someplace during some convention somewhere, somehow. And I'd be happy to sign, whatever you have.
Yeah.
When it comes to fan mail, I only take like I don't know how to word it without sounding like a douche, but like you'll know when it's like a really special thing. Like I just got like a giant box in the mail today from like a long-term viewer.
Okay.
You'll know the ones to trust too. I'm not saying this for you. I'm just saying in general though, for anyone out there, because you like. As a growing YouTuber, you know who is there from the start. You just do. People don't think you do, but it's really not hard to keep a tab on your viewers and who's commenting and stuff. You'd be surprised.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how easy it is to keep a tab on who's always on your channel and interacting with you and stuff because they're always there saying things. And so this guy's been here for like a couple of years and like, he hit me up. I don't want to say what he gave me, but it's more so a comfortability thing because you don't want to be handing out your address to random people on the internet. So you got to like pick and choose very carefully who you're going to give that information to.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially since, if I lived, I don't know, man, if I was like young and single and I hadn't had children yet and I just didn't have a care in the world and I, lived in an apartment somewhere, I'd be like, yeah, come on by, we'll have a beer. But like, it's different now. It's
also like I choose the people who are like in a different continent too. So I'm like, all right, you'd have to fly a plane to get to my house. So you go ahead and send me your shit then. I usually don't take fan mail unless it's like a very special sentimental type of thing. Because I know it's because the viewer's really passionate about it. I know it's like to not be able to express that passion or whatever for something.
Right.
And so you want to kind of grant them that request and stuff. So, it also makes it so that I don't believe in like the YouTubers to set up a PO box and be like, hey, send me shit. I'm like, I make video game videos. I don't do shit that deserve you to send me hundreds of dollars worth of items.
Right.
So it's like,
And we were talking about this the other day, Maddie and I. Maddie had received something, I think it was last year, and it's a product that has been discontinued, even at that stage, and Maddie had no idea. I'm like, hey, Maddie, how'd you get that Energy Weapons bobblehead? I'm trying to look for him online, and to buy that bobblehead is $500, and the whole pack is $1,600 on eBay. I'm like, how did you get it? He's like, a fan sent it to me. I'm like, you serious?
Oh my God.
I had no idea, dude. Bobbleheads were like $15 a piece on Bethesda's store, and then Lone's like, yeah, they're $1,500 now. Like, what?
Yeah, because I discontinued.
I'm looking at 5. I have melee weapons, strength,
you could
perception,
literally
endurance, and energy weapons.
They're selling for like $1,000 as a pack on eBay, and a fan just sent that to you. That's what I talk about when I say Fallout fans are really generous. That is a perfect example.
I was going to go back to what you just said, Lone. Like the passion is there, the investment is there, and the care is there. Like this dedication to this franchise. It's humbling to me. It's no joke. It's humbling. Which, by the way, I go back to the answering the questions bit. I mean, and again, it's going to get more and more, I think. And I want to just tell the fans that no matter what you think, I love you. I mean, I appreciate all this early love because you're getting me first. Nobody knew who I was before you guys. So it's
that's how I am with like this. Like I said, the viewers who were there before the channel grew, and that's why I have like I hate to sound like a dick, but almost like a favoritism system where I'm like, okay, this guy was here for a while, so I'm going to respond to him.
You know who's who, and you kind of pick up on it. But real quick, guys, I do apologize. I have to back out because some things have come up, and I do have to back out. I do. I'm sorry. I genuinely, I'm sorry. But Brian, it genuinely is an honor to have you on the cast.
Oh, man, the honor's mine, man. Nice talking to you, Noah.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you. Matt, Lone, I will see you guys next week. I do apologize. I am sorry.
I apologize for making it go 2 hours. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Wow, that's a good thing.
The viewers will love this.
Yeah, trust me. But guys, have a good rest of the comm. And peace out, guys.
Take care, Noah.
This is why I host, because I was gonna let him host, and then sometimes he'll hop off. So I host.
This is the thing with the podcast. Like, they can go for so long because I remember initially when we were planning this podcast, we're like, all right, we'll have an hour set time, and we stuck to that for like the first 2 episodes. And then after that, they just got longer and longer and longer because we just talk about everything. It's great.
I mean, it's kind of an occupational hazard.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, but like, but to go back to put a button on that conversation, we can move on. It's just because it's early on and I'm new at this and I'm getting all these great questions. I'm trying to answer every single one, and sometimes I'm up till like 11 or 12 at night, and it's I don't want it to have a negative effect on. I don't want to get divorced. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'll do the best I can, but if I don't answer your question, hit me up in a little bit later, or just please be patient with me. I'm doing the best I can. Is all I'm saying.
No, you don't have much reason to apologize. Just so you know, like as the Twitter grows, like I've realized the internet's become more understanding over time, where they're realizing like, hey, most messages I get are like, hey, I know you probably won't see this, or hey, I know you're really busy, but it's like, well, thank you for respecting that, but no, I'll have time to answer this. But people are becoming more aware that it's not like you're always on your phone or on your computer trying to get back to all these people. So
okay,
yeah, they understand.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that actually is a good segue into one of my questions. You kind of basically answered it, but it's okay. We can just go ahead and ramble for a little bit longer on it. What was, your impression on the Fallout community? Like, you kind of just walked into this, and it seems to have obviously accepted you quite well. Just
Indeed.
Yeah, I guess, if you just want to talk about it a little bit more.
I'd love to. I mean, here's the thing. Going back to the root of what I do. I'm a performer. Mm-hmm. I love to perform. And, being a part of this story, being a part of this game and having this particular role. And I mean, you only heard me do how many lines? From the reveal trailer to the gameplay demo, you've only heard me say 4 things or 5 things, right? Mm. And the response from that has been like, wow, like intense. So I'm like, I have respect for I've always had respect for my audience. It's kind of like, this is kind of glib or I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, the customer's always right. Well, they're the audience. I wouldn't finish a play, and then if every single person didn't applaud, I wouldn't go down and canvas why. Like they get to not like what I did or love what I did or be indifferent about it. Mm-hmm. So my impression of the Fallout community is connected to that. I love the impression I'm getting, because the impression I'm getting is they're a dedicated audience, and they're rooting for the franchise, Bethesda, the game itself, and it's a friendly audience. And I just love that. I love the knowledge. It was most impressed right after our names were announced, Courtney Taylor's and mine. I started getting these questions, and I'm like, okay, but like really early on, like the 5th or 9th question was this really nuanced question, and I'm like, that is an audience that knows this game, this universe. Yeah. And it's just like that impressed me. And it could have been a 48-year-old guy or a 20-year-old girl or a 14-year-old or 12-year-old boy or something like that. Like, and this whole audience is so diverse that I was just impressed by the dedication, the knowledge, and the positivity. And I was just like, man, this is an audience that I can't wait to get feedback from this audience, because this is a truly good audience.
Yeah, they care. There's a video I made like a couple of weeks ago, and it was some lore stuff, which means like kind of like the established history of the universe in the game, in case you didn't know. Okay. And some of the information turned out to be inaccurate and whatnot, and like it was like what was a tiny mistake was a blown out of proportion issue because of how much they care. That's kind of what Lone was saying, where sometimes passion's blurred with anger, where it's just this tiny little thing, but it matters to them so much that it's like, wow, this is actually kind of impressive how much they care. And so then you kind of take a step back. You're like, okay, I'm going to take that into consideration next time you learn and whatnot. But most people are like, yeah, it's just a tiny thing. It's not a big deal. But like I was saying, they're really damn passionate. And
a fan base is truly passionate when just by reading tweets, you can actually feel that passion.
Absolutely.
It's a weird thing because, Maddie and I, both of us, we have YouTube channels and we read comments all the time. But when you can actually just feel like somebody is being genuine and has knowledge of this franchise and loves it to death, almost like as much as we do, it's such a great thing to see. And it is humbling, being a part of this community that just cares so much. And I will say confidently, for the most part, They're very generous, they're very kind, they're very caring, and generally care about the game. And that's why, people wanted to know about Fallout 4 for so long, because they actually care about it. They care about the IP, they like what Bethesda does, and they want to see this game being made, for tens upon years and years and years down the track. So you're really lucky, honestly, Brian, to be a part of this community.
Mm-hmm. I feel lucky. I feel it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's pretty crazy.
Indeed.
Got thrown right into the wildstorm. I'm glad that everything worked out though, because sometimes they can be vicious.
I haven't heard any. I mean, I'm sure I'll defer to your judgment on that one because I don't know, but I haven't heard anything vicious or anything.
No, they're the best. I would not want to be in any other community because as a YouTuber, you follow all these other ones. You're friends with a lot of other YouTubers, and you see what goes on in their respective communities because they cover different games and whatnot. I would not want to be in any other community other than Bethesda's. It's just the support and care and everything that goes into it is mind blowing. So I didn't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer there, by the way. I was just saying in general.
No.
But it's incredible. Yeah, like I wouldn't want to be a part of anything else either. Because it's also like a long term thing. Like they like I'll get like these these questions that I'm usually like I always think of myself, oh, I'm just a news source. But I've realized over time that a lot of people care about the person as well, and I've seen that with you too, Brian, you as well, Lone, where like people are like, hey, after Fallout 4 comes out, like, what are you gonna do? And like people are really curious about that, and myself, and I love that. Like they're wondering, like, am I gonna do more on the game? Like, am I just gonna do the news before the game launches, or am I gonna actually play the game and stuff afterwards? And I'm like, oh, that might be a bit of a rhetorical question, but they care enough to want to know what my life's gonna be like after all this happens.
And to give an example, someone that was in your shoes, Eric Todd Dellums, who did the voice actor for Three Dog in Fallout 3.
Right.
People still support him to this day for a game that was made in 2000 or released in 2008. He's developed this community that he interacts with. People they love him. They love him as a character and as a person, and they just develop that interest solely based on this video game. And I think that's such a great thing to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
We just got deep there, guys.
Wow.
This is a good question for earlier. We could have really segued into it, but anyways, I wanted to ask about you and Courtney because, like, based off like what I saw you guys at E3 and stuff, the way you talk to each other, the way you talk about so highly of her, it seems you guys are like really close and just have like great chemistry. I just want to know what it's like working with her, from your perspective more than anything. And I'm sure when she's on, we'll ask the same question, just vice versa. But I want to get your thoughts overall on working with her.
Awesome.
I don't know if you directly worked side by side with her or not, but yeah.
Nope. Nope. I don't believe I've met. I don't even think I met her until December 2014.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Never met her.
That's
never met her
insane.
before December of last year, and I never worked with her ever.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. So when I first met, we actually took a picture. I think I posted it on Twitter, but we took a picture from the day we met. I'm like, holy crap, we got to document this moment. I never worked with her, and I don't even think I heard any of her takes on any of the lines for a long time. I knew her name. They told me her name, and I looked up her work and stuff, so I got a sense of what she might sound like. But yeah, I didn't work with her. We have great chemistry, I guess. I don't know. I mean, we just clicked. She's kind of like she's pretty cool. She's we hung out at the Bethesda Z3 thing. We hung out for a couple minutes at the general convention on that platform thing at the convention center. She's just she's cool, man. She's easy to talk to. We would I don't know how to put it. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's weird. Like we have like a brother-sister vibe when we screw with each other. Like, shut the hell up. Like whatever. So, but like that wasn't born out of like a lot of time. I mean,
yeah, it's interesting because like in the Fallout 4 gameplay demo at E3, like that scene in the beginning, I thought where, it was just like the husband, like it was where you create your character and like the husband was talking to the wife and stuff. And just like even though it's very interesting that you guys say you didn't meet until December, because the way you two kind of spoke. It was like a familiar atmosphere. Like you two knew each other and cared about each other deeply, where you brought that emotion in the game alive.
Mm-hmm.
But it also seems like it was something I kind of carried over from real life. So it's actually really interesting. But you guys just seem to like really be on the same page when it came to the actual game. It's interesting that you didn't record side by side or anything.
Right. And especially for that scene when she was like, "Oh, cute nose" or something like that.
Right.
I was in Sydney at the time at the Bethesda event in Australia that they held, and people like genuinely liked that. They laughed at that, and
I know.
I thought people felt that chemistry, you know.
Right. I mean, that's again. I have to give props to Cal, our voice director. He really kept us on point and told us what we needed to know, and then the rest of it was just acting, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he was kind of our beacon. He was our lighthouse, as it were. So
like that part where the bombs are falling, man, like intense goosebumps every time I see that part, because like it's like a mixture of like the sirens going off, you know, like that intensity, and like then your voice work, both of you guys, it was just incredible, and it really brings that moment to life. I love it. So that's why I was just really curious what it was like working with her.
Yeah, I wish I want to work with her.
Yeah.
I want to work with her in person because she is fantastic.
Yeah.
She is fantastic. She's awesome.
Awesome.
That's great. My final question, and I'm sure we'll think of some others, but we kind of talked about this already. It seems like all the questions I had written down were like covered, but I guess that's what happens when you record for 2 hours and 15 minutes at this point. So you're the first voice protagonist in Fallout 4. Like you're just gonna let that sink in a little bit. Like I said, you've talked about this a little bit during this podcast. Like overall, how does this make you feel? Like, is it intimidating? Like you're kind of stepping into some big shoes here, or are you just kind of like, since before this you said you hadn't played Fallout 3 until like I'd say a year and a half ago, I think you said.
No, like 3 months ago.
3 months ago. Okay, so yeah, like it wasn't like you were already familiar with the franchise and knew like, hey, you know, they don't have a voice actor every time, you know, like this is huge. So like, I just want to know, like, you know, your overall thoughts on this.
Well, it was evolutionary, actually. It started out with a little bit of like intimidated, you know, like what? Really? Wow. Okay. This is a big jump. And then it kind of gradually fell into, you know, I feel like I'm doing the best work I've ever done voice wise. My Cal said, "Hey man, you really, early on even, you really found it and you were going." And it was just, I felt really comfortable in the role, and it was just great. It was just, I left everything on the field is the way I guess I would put it. I mean, I don't have any regrets, and I hope it hits. I hope people like the change of, you know, having me and Courtney do the male and female protagonist, but it's really just now like kind of like a peace has settled in kind of thing, you know, like I'm always humbled. I'm humbled by me getting this job. That hasn't left. I'm humbled by it. But the intimidation has just morphed into just, you know what? And this is the truth. I guess the most truthful thing I'm going to say to you, not that I've lied, I've told the truth.
Liar.
I did the best I could. And I did the best I could, and I know everybody else did. Everybody that I'm aware of, and you know, I left it all out on the field, and I think the gamers will be pleased. I think Fallout fans will be pleased. But I'm generally humbled, and you know, I gave it everything I had, every ounce of everything. You know, I gave this job, and you know, Bethesda's awesome, and the voice directors have been awesome. But actually, I should give a shout out to Chris Fiella. Did 1 day of voice directing me as the player male voice on this job. Every other day, and it's been like, I don't know, 75 or 100. Was Cal Bogdanov, but 1 day was Chris Fiella. He's a really, really gifted voice director as well. Awesome. But yeah, I'm just generally humbled, and I'm eager. I'm as eager as the fans, because I'm a fan. I'm now a fan. I didn't know about Fallout when I got the job, but now I'm a fan, and I'm with you guys. I'm eager for the game to launch, and it's a lot of fun. But generally humbled, man. Just generally humbled.
That's awesome. No, I can hear it in your voice. That's great.
Truly genuine. You know, And honestly, Brian, like, we would just want to thank you because 2 years of voice acting work that's an impressive feat, and you sound like you've given it your all. So just even before we've seen the game, we honestly want to say, and I'm sure fans would agree, thank you for the work that you put into it, because again, this is a franchise that we're so passionate about, and to see that you shared that passion in your work is honestly, it's humbling on our behalf. It really is.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys, because this is like I was telling you. I don't know if this was the pre-podcast discussion, but there's only one first, and something is new for only so much time. And right now, this is a good time. I'm having a great time. This is a great ride. This is a great franchise, and I believe this is a great game. And I'm grateful to everybody. I'm grateful, of course. I'm grateful to my agent, Pat Brady from CESD Talent Agency. Yeah. I'm grateful to Bethesda and everybody there. Todd Howard, Emil Pagliarulo, Will Shen, Mark Lampert, Chappie. You know who you are, Bri. Ferret, Corey. These are all the developers or the people from Bethesda that were on the line as they were listening to each session. It was a varied group. A couple times it was Todd Howard. Wow. I'm just grateful to everybody involved, and of course the people that the people I have to have respect for, beginning, middle, and end, is the people that put their money down. They drop $60 in November, and they wait in line. And
I'll admit, I've already spent $300 on Fallout stuff.
Yeah, I spent like $400.
I did the math last night. Yeah, I bought the Fallout Anthology, the Pip-Boy edition with day one shipping, and all the little figures on the site.
I got all the figures. I've got the Pip-Boy edition. I got the Wasteland pack, which comes with like a
Game Traders reached out to me about that. They're like, "Hey, you want one?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" And now I have another copy of Fallout 4.
Yeah. Like, I literally, on my mantelpiece right now, I just have Fallout merchandise just stacked, like literally stacked, because I just bought all the pop vinyls. I actually have, Brian, I have you as a figurine on my mantelpiece. How does that make you feel?
Oh, that's also humbling. Jeez.
It's gonna suck because like the pre-orders, like they don't charge your credit card instantly. So like all of a sudden I'm just gonna lose like $400 and I'm gonna be like, what in the fuck just right. I spent all that money earlier.
Oh man. Oh boy. Okay, well I'm thankful to the fans that drop hundreds of dollars on this.
Oh, literally.
On this game and this everything that goes around with it. I mean that's that's what's awesome. I think Todd Howard said at the E3 presentation for Bethesda at Dolby Theater, Fallout fans are the greatest fans, and I've seen only evidence of that. So I mean, all the Fallout fans out there, I'm grateful to you guys because you guys that make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got one question for you. This actually, I just remember this because are
people going to listen to this long of a podcast?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Honest to God, they're going to listen to this whole thing because I feel like I've been talking my ear off to you guys.
Oh,
no,
everyone loves that.
Me. Yeah, and we can actually see the analytics when people actually end the video, and there is always that dedicated base that just stay right to the end. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This comes from Monty, who we run our own website called Sugar Bombed, and it's kind of just like our own fan forum to kind of.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
To like narrow feedback directly and have like a positive place and whatnot for Bethesda discussion. Anyways. Monty wanted to ask, how do you feel your voice is going to translate for, other races and stuff? Like, okay, I don't mean to sound weird, but like, or whatever, or offensive, but like,
what do you mean?
I play as an African American, do you think,
oh man,
yeah, you think your voice comes across well as like if I'm playing as, an African American guy or?
What do you think black people sound different? You think black people sound different?
Yeah.
Actually, oh my God.
Damn, that's racist.
Damn, man.
Shit.
What if I wanted to play as an Australian? I want your voice to be Aussie, Brian. It has to happen, or I'll be offended. I'm just.
Let's go, pal.
Yeah, but you'll be saying that to a kangaroo. That's where the difference comes in.
Oh my!
I know dog meat is kangaroo meat.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
it's a good question, and honestly, I found out a little bit of insight as anybody who saw the presentation at E3 because Todd Howard talked about it. He turned to me and he goes, choosing these two. He was very complimentary, by the way. These two great voice actors. I'm like, oh God, I hope I live up to that. You know what I mean? I think I went into a little bit of Jesse Pinkman there. I hope I live up to that, bitch. You know. He said that. I'm like, wow, okay. But then he went through. I don't know if you know, Brian, but you know, we went through a rigorous kind of like this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, I don't know how you chose. Personally, when I got the job, I'm like, I guess Nolan North and Troy Baker were unavailable. You know, I just didn't know. So he turns and he goes, we went through, which is why I found out why I went through a callback. This is part of the reason, I think. He says, we took your voice and we had a couple of options and we had all these different pictures hanging up of different, like, you know, if I remember what he said correctly, it led me to believe that he had like several different kinds of faces, maybe different ethnic looks or different races maybe. And they had to find a voice that could fit that thin pocket of being that kind of all around, I guess, you know? And I'm like, wow, I didn't know you guys did that. Yeah. That actually affected my wife a little bit. She goes, wow, I thought that was really neat that they really took their time and they really had this, you know, I guess their final choices, I guess. I don't know who they were, but they played the voices to this battery of different pictures of different kinds of people, and they went with who they went with. And I know I'm glad they did, but I didn't realize there was that much care with that kind of thing, you know, that kind of finding that voice. I know that there was some questions on Twitter and questions online about like, well, I wish they can do, you know, half a dozen or a dozen different voices. Let me tell you something. One guy doing 13,000 voices or 13,000 lines, and a girl and a woman doing 13,000 lines. Multiply that by 12 people.
That's ridiculous.
On both sides of the sex. That's an undoable exercise.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think they had to just do the best they could with one voice per gender. But it's a good question. It's honestly, you know, when I saw the gameplay demo and I'm like, oh my, first of all, I was blown away with how different and how many different choices you can make on the face. And as I was listening to it, I was evaluating, and I watched it when I went home because I had to like, first of all, when you watch something the first time, you don't really hear it all the way. You have like ringing in your ears and their hair is standing on the back of your neck and that kind of thing. And as I was listening to it and the player female rotated into the position in front of the mirror and they did a little bit with her. And then as the guy, and they made him look African-American, the player character. And he goes, let me just slide in here. Yeah. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. All right.
It just works. Yeah.
It just works. Wow. Look, nice little Todd Howardism there.
I love it. But I was going to ask you that, like, I can't remember where in the podcast, but it's like, and I don't know if this is the right description, it's like the voice is neutral. That's the best way I can put it. Like, you can...
I think flexible.
It blows my mind. It blows my mind that you say that because I think I sound specific, which is why I was surprised I got the job. I think I sound like from a particular place, but it also has this interesting, I don't know, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I'm guessing. Maybe they thought it had some interesting dichotomy, that it looked like it was from some place, but could be a number of people. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, it's like, I don't know, like speaking as someone that is, you know, not an American, to say the least, it's like, because Fallout has that Americana 1950s, you know, background and backdrop, I personally would expect a main player character to have that American dialect, whatever that is. So I can't pick up those differences and those nuances between someone from Philadelphia and someone from, you know, California, whoever. Like, I don't know that, but when I hear your voice and then it's but against the background of different types of races, I think it would just work. And just to use Todd Howard's typical
It
line,
just works.
it literally, like, I could not see it not working because the voice is not like so drastically unique in that it would not work against any other, race. So I think you've done a good job.
Could you imagine like,
Let's go, pal.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah, that's it.
yeah. I get it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I mean, Todd Howard knows.
Yeah, Todd Howard.
I've learned to respect the man easily. So yeah, he knows. He knows.
God Howard.
Oh, the idolatry for Todd.
I love when we get voice actors on the podcast. Like they can just do all these different voices. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, we're a pain in the ass bunch, though. I mean, we can get pretty. We're like circus seals. We're like a big dog and pony show. You want me to do my other kind of voice then? I could do it.
Oh man, because Matty, you remember how we had Charles Battersby on, who is a voice actor as well, and he was just pulling out all of these different voices. I was in hysterics
he was just spitballing them
the
all.
whole time.
Yeah,
Great.
We do that. It can be annoying. Trust me.
No,
I like it. It's
yeah,
funny.
not for us.
Not for you guys. Oh, I love you guys even more now.
All right.
That's excellent. Well, holy crap, how long? It's actually been officially almost 2 hours on the actual podcast. It's been 2.5 in our... So we've had a 30-minute pre-podcast talk.
A pre-podcast talk? Okay.
Yep. How great is that?
So 2 hours. Is that... So people are going to listen. That's wonderful that they get to listen to you guys.
Mm.
And they stay tuned for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
They like listen to the podcast while they're doing other things. The amount of times I've heard people say, "Yeah, I'm just playing Fallout while listening to the podcast." It's just like that's awesome. That's awesome. It is
what we want.
humbling.
We just want people to listen to this while they do things. That's why we made it. They're like, "Oh, put some gameplay in the background." I'm like, first of all, my computer would blow up. Second of all, just trust me. It's like that's how I listen to podcasts every now and then. Just start up a game and I just leave it on in the background.
Or go for a run or exercise and have the podcast in the back. I do it all the time. I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, I think we've reached that point.
Yeah.
We've just had like an awesome visit. Like it's like,
yep.
This was cool. This is like awesome.
So it's like beers at your place next, Brian. Is that right?
Deal. Hey, no kidding, Lone, or whatever your name is. We'll call you.
I'll tell you after the podcast because I feel like I should.
I feel like I know. Yeah, I feel like we're like buds. I don't know, man. You guys really know how to do this. This is my.
Thank you.
I'm relatively new, but this is. You guys do a good show.
Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. We want, like I said to you when we first spoke, I was like, we just want you to come on and just have fun. Like that's all we want.
Well, I had a blast. I hope it's shown through.
No,
really
that's
good to
great
hear,
time.
honestly.
That's great.
Well, as I alluded to before, Brian, you're going to have to end the podcast, and we're literally going to stop talking at a particular point, and you just take it from there, and then we're stopping the recording. So I'll let Matty say whatever he needs to as well, but just think of a great line if you want to end the podcast that way.
Oh man, how can I think of a great line?
You got to think of a great line.
I don't write lines. I say them. Damn,
I love it.
Man. Damn.
I just wanted to personally thank you, Brian. Like I said, from start to finish, this has been a lot, for lack of better words, easier than I ever expected. I thought it was going to be like an arm and a leg to get a voice actor on, but you were more than willing. You reached out to me. I want to point out specifically to the listeners that Brian reached out to me. Like I put that initial offer out there, but then he followed me and came to me all about it and was really excited. So Brian, thank you for being so excited about it and just, obviously easily our best guest yet. And wow,
guys,
it's been amazing, Brian, having you on and really getting to know you.
Remember, I'm grateful for the invitation. You kind of gave a shout out invitation because we didn't know each other or anything.
Yeah.
And all I did was respond to a generous invitation and I'm grateful you had me on. And remember, I mean, I'm probably going to look back on this and say, man, I wish I could go back to those days because
you can always, by the way, you're always welcome back on. We say this with all our guests. You're always if you're welcome. Hey, I'm down the podcast. I'll be like, all right, you're on next week.
Hey, who knows, man? After lunch, sometime after lunch.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
more than.
But I'm just, I'm grateful that you invited me to the party, and all I did was respond. By the way, you should thank you should thank your fans.
Yes.
I do. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you should
I
thank
love
your
them.
fans
I
because
love
they really alerted me to the gravity of who Mr. Matty is. So you really have to you really should give an extra shout out to those guys.
Of course. Thank you guys.
Those guys and gals,
for doing
because
that.
they really were my kind of like radar on checking you out and seeing, oh wow, this guy. And then I saw some of your material and I'm like, oh, this guy's really cool. I'd love to sit down and have a chat with these fellas, and I'm glad I did. So
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because you initially reached out to me, and then you said like an hour later, you're like, by the way, I'd love to be on the podcast. I'm like, holy crap, he actually saw it. I was thinking like I'd have to reintroduce it and like slide and be like, hey, by the way, like, if
well, I have to confess, I must have missed something because I never listened to a podcast per se. I saw your videos, your game analysis, and a couple of other things. So I didn't get a chance to really meet audibly Lone and Noah until now, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I heard you guys. I met you guys kind of. Kind of. Well, one day, right, Lone? Or whatever your name is.
Listen, honestly, Brian, if you ever come down to Australia for a convention, and when I eventually go up to the States, because I will, I'm planning it, I would love to meet you. I'm going to meet Maddie, Noah. I'm just going to do the rounds and meet as many people as I can when I go to the States. So if you'd have me, I'd love to have a beer with you and just banter.
Yeah. I'm sure by that time I'll be 21. So wait like a year. Is that cool? Just wait a
That's
year?
fine. That's fine. We can
right.
go
Wait a
have
year.
beer.
Perfect. And then we'll all meet somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I'm going to hold you to that. Yeah.
Definitely. Honestly,
I'm not gonna bring you
I'm
home.
genuine when I say that. Like, I'm definitely going to come to the States.
I know you are, but I'm not bringing you to my house because I'm not having my wife listen to your face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't want that, do we?
Yeah, I don't want her like in the kitchen and then she comes to the living room and says, oh. You know, I don't need that. I don't need that shit in my life.
Well, I'll
Honestly,
tell you what, Mr. Brian.
Totally. We should
It's the worst being a growing YouTuber at age 20. Because like I've been to like a couple events, but like one time I went to a Ubisoft preview event, and I'm friends with their PR, and you know, like I'm all standing in a group with them, we're chatting. They're like, hey, you want to go out for drinks at this? I'm like, at this time I'm like 19. I'm like, I can only drink soda, so they're like, oh, never mind. I'm like, God damn it all, like why?
Hey man, know what you do? All you got to do is like order a ginger ale.
Yeah.
Or order like, no, you should order seltzer water. And then you tell them, nah, I'm on the wagon.
Or you come to
Been a harsh
Australia.
life.
You come down.
What's the age? What's the age of approval and consent in that country?
18.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh man, Maddie, have you ever been to Australia? Did I hear that? Did I hear you have never been? You've never been to Australia?
I'm not.
Oh man, you got to go.
Did you go,
You
Brian?
been there?
I never went. No, I'm talking about for the drinking age.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just the same in the UK as well.
Oh, is that right?
I think
Well,
so.
pretty much everywhere around the world aside
Except
from America.
Naturally.
I got to get to Australia though. I'd love to go.
Look, if you ever are, and if you're ever planning a trip, just reach out to me. I'll give you the best advice you'll need, and then we can meet, and it'll be great.
Sounds good, man.
Right, Brian, your hometown's obviously a couple hours away. So if you're in my area as well, you know.
Hey, man. Yeah, it's Philadelphia. It's only 2 hours south. Wait, what city do you live in, Matt? Or do you not want to say?
I don't want to say specifically, but I'm in New York. So
You're in New York State.
yeah, as you can tell by the way I sometimes say certain words, it's pretty apparent.
No, I told you when we talked pre-podcast. I would listen to your voice and I'm like, that voice sounds familiar, you know, because you would say certain words and I'm like, he has to be from the East Coast. I thought you were from down from my neck of the woods, but you're from, you know, New York.
I'm close.
Did you say you're New York State is where you're saying you're from?
Yeah, not the city.
You're not okay. Not New York City, not Albany.
Nah. You're slowly narrowing it down.
Buffalo.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, cool. Well, this has been a great ride, man.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brian. Honestly, again, thank you.
yeah, thank you. And thank you, fans, for getting Brian on.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
thank you. Thank the fans. The fans did it. The fans did it.
No, we're
Yeah,
really
out we go.
appreciative. Like best group of fans just ever. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
So, Brian, you're on, mate.
Yes, sir.
The floor is yours.
This is the male protagonist for Fallout 4. You've been listening to Ham Radio Time.